6. Jordan, open. Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining, and they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Taproom Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Stacks on Stacks Lats, joined with my man, Mr. Big Ballin' Ben Larson. What's going on this fine Sunday, Ben?
Not much, man. In the middle of a move, so it has been a busy weekend with only catching in little glimpses of sports and what's going on in the sports world. But I do have to say I've been in tune with the beer world over this last weekend with a lot of different beers and you know, having those afternoon and night caps after long days of moves. But
nice.
Yeah. It's we're getting there. Another week. Tuesday will be my last podcast at this location, and then we'll have a new background. Fortunately, I don't have the big taproom board coming with me, but we'll hopefully have it for future podcasts in a year down the line. So
there we go. Hey, sometimes change is good, Ben.
Exactly. How you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm good. If there's a weekend to miss in sports, I mean, it's really this weekend. We really only had baseball. Obviously, we had the UFC London event, which was kind of trash, but there wasn't a whole lot going on.
F1 race this morning, but nothing crazy there.
I don't know shit about F1, so I can't
Mercedes
mention.
took 2 of the podium spots, so nothing new there. How about that?
All right. There you go. If you need F1 news, hit up Ben. If you need some F1 picks, but I mean it's been a slow weekend, and that's okay because we basically got about a week until the MLB trade deadline, so a lot of stuff, a little bit more than a week, August 2nd, I think it is. So we got a lot of rumors happening, a lot of chitter chatter, especially with the All-Star game last weekend. Obviously, like all the executives were in town, probably meeting with each other. A lot of Soto news that we're going to get to, so I'm excited for that, how it affects the futures market as well. But man, excited to be here, and I got a little theme with my beers today. 2 different style beers, but it's a little theme here. We're going light beers today. Beers tonight.
Nice. My first beer is a light beer as well. I've got a Pilsner for my first one. So
there we go.
Let's hear it. What's so for everyone who doesn't know about the podcast, what we do is we drink and rate beers as we are talking sports here. We wanted to make this podcast like we were sitting at a bar talking sports, drinking some good beer. And, over the last almost 2 years, we have drinking
a lot.
I mean, we're on episode 130. So we're getting close to, 250-ish beers a piece over the 2 years, and 500 beers over between the two of us over these 2 years. So it's been great to drink a couple beers, highlight a couple beers for each podcast, and really let people know that we are supporting our local breweries, our local bottle shops, and trying to get you guys out there as well. If you do want to support those breweries, make sure to go to Devour, use promo code Taproom when signing up, and get $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. I wish we could offer $20 off. That'd be great. But Devour doesn't let us do that. So make sure to go to Devour.com or download the Devour app. You can literally pick your beers straight from the app there, and they show up at your front door at the end of the month. Cannot beat it at all.
Yep.
So what's your first beer? You're going light tonight.
I am going light tonight. My first beer tonight is this is a Kolsch German style ale. This is from Occidental Brewing Company out of Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
This is their Kolsch. It's just regular Kolsch. So it's a normal German Kolsch. It's a good summer beer. Obviously, Kolsch's are light. This one's only, I think, 4.5%, 4.7%. So it's very light beer. Has the color of a good Kolsch, the golden. Yep. There was some nice head to it when I first poured it, but not a big Kolsch fan though, Ben. I'm more of a Pilsner fan, so we'll see how this one goes down. I'm excited to drink it. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do you say?
I've got a nice Pilsner going on. So I've got New Bohemia Brewing Company.
Let's go, y'all!
The Pilsner Soquel. So this is out of Santa Cruz. Their brewery, where they actually brew the beer, is out of Davis, California. But they do have their tap room and kind of their front of the house is out of Santa Cruz. So Pilsner Soquel. This is a 5.2%, 32 IBU. So a little on the bitter side of for a Pilsner, but they really wanted to go through kind of the Bohemian style Pilsner that from going back to where Pilsners began. And so far I've taken a couple of sips, and it is a very good representation of an OG Pilsner. Nice and light, nice and crisp, super crystal clear, which I'm loving. And 5.2% is a good way to start off the day.
Nice. CJ just commented on our chat, and he said he wants to see Bellinger get traded.
I am fine with seeing Bellinger get traded.
To who?
As long as he doesn't go back to LA, which I don't think he would, but it would be interesting there.
He also said the Marlins finally gave Sandy some run support, so I gotta think that's why you have that hat on. Yes, of course, Sandy Alcantara pitched today, which is why I'm wearing a Marlins hat. Every time he pitches, I back the Marlins. They did pull it out. It wasn't pretty. He did give up 2 runs.
Too difficult against the Pirates there, but
they made it difficult, and
they did.
They lost last night too against the Pirates, so they only took 2 of 3 from the Pirates. But yes, I am wearing this hat because Sandy pitched today. Yes, I was backing the Marlins. Every time Sandy pitches, I back the Marlins. So shout out to Sandy. Hopefully he gets traded. I'm gonna talk about another Marlins pitcher though in a minute. Let's hop right into it, Ben. Let's talk some Major League Baseball. So
crazy weekend for sweeps this weekend too.
Yeah, a lot of sweeps going on. Big sweeps too. The Cubs sweeping the Philadelphia Phillies, who were in the wild card hunt. They were actually the 3rd team. Now they're officially out. The Cardinals, they lost 2 of 3 to the Reds this weekend. Yep. Big series too, because on Tuesday they're going to Toronto, and they will not have Paul Goldschmidt or Nolan Arenado in that 2-game series.
Toronto balled out this weekend.
Toronto
going
did
up against the Blue Jays. Minus 54 on the.
You mean the Red Sox?
Sorry. Minus 54 in the in the series, which is
they
the
put
most.
Up 28 in one game.
Yeah, 54 is the most, the biggest run differential in a single series ever since like 1899. Sorry, not ever, but since 1899. So pretty much ever.
Pretty impressive. The Red Sox are in a downward spiral, but they also had a lot of guys out this weekend. They basically had a AAA lineup out there.
Yep.
So it was really important for the Blue Jays to win that series. And it asks a lot of questions about where the Red Sox are at, kind of. Are they going to be sellers at the deadline? They are only 3 games out of the wild card, but I mean, their pitching is atrocious, man. Like, they might have the worst pitching staff in all of baseball, and the fact that they're 500 is somewhat telling of how good that lineup is when it's healthy. But will that lineup be healthy the rest of the year? Who knows? Yep. The Giants get swept, Ben.
Yep. Phillies get swept.
Phillies got swept, which we talked about. San Diego took 2 of 3 from the New York Mets this weekend. Yeah. Miami took 2 of 3 from the Pirates, and now they're only 5 back. Interesting stuff to what's going on. So let's talk about these teams. Like, who do you think are truly going to be buyers and sellers in the American League?
In the American League, I'd give everyone up until the Rangers as being, possible buyers there. I'd give I think the Orioles are probably going to stay pat, just because they might take a starting pitcher there. But, all these other teams, I'd say pretty much have a chance. So they're going to be pushing to be buyers. So I'd give that the Blue Jays, the Rays, the Seattle Mariners, the Guardians, the White Sox, the Red Sox. And then I think the Orioles probably could use another, starting pitcher to help push them over into that next upper echelon of teams. I don't know if I'm Baltimore, I don't know if I spend much, because you've got a really young lineup that is going to have the potential to be very good over the next 5 to 7 years. So I don't think you want to give too much of that away to potentially get them to a playoff level 1 year earlier. So I don't know if I necessarily see Baltimore being.
The thing with baseball though, Ben, is like once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
It's true.
So you go into it with that mindset of like, we just got to make it in the playoffs. Once we make it in there, anything can happen. And I think the Orioles are in a very interesting spot. They're only 3.5 games out, and you're right, they do need a starting pitcher. And last week there was a lot of rumors during the All-Star week that the Baltimore Orioles are interested in trading for Pablo Lopez from the Marlins, which makes perfect sense for the Marlins too, because they have a ton of young pitchers coming up. Max Meyer, who actually just got hurt on Saturday. And then they also have Sixto Sanchez and a few other starting pitchers coming up. So it makes sense. Plus, the Marlins are absolute dog shit at the plate. So they need, like, hitting prospects. And I think the Orioles can do that without sacrificing what they have now. Yeah. Because their outfield, Austin Hayes, Anthony Santander, Cedric Mullins, they're still under team control for a while. Ryan Mountcastle as well. Trey Mancini's like the only player really coming up on the end of his deal, so I mean they could even afford to trade him if they want to be sellers, but other than that, I don't see them making any moves. And you're right, I don't think they're going to deplete their farm system to get somebody, but I think Pablo Lopez they can get at a relatively good price, especially because the Marlins aren't going to want, Grayson Rodriguez. I'm not saying the Orioles would trade him, but they're not going to want Grayson Rodriguez because they have a ton of pitching prospects. They're going to want DL Hall because they have a ton of pitching prospects. You know what I mean? So if you're the Orioles and you're like, hey, man, we like Ramon Urias at third. He's under a good deal, so maybe you don't have to go get a third baseman. You have Gunnar Henderson coming up, in the next, maybe at the end of this year, next year at shortstop. So that's going to answer some of your questions because Jorge Mateo is definitely not the answer there. That dude is like barely over the Mendoza line. And then obviously Rougned or Odor is an answer. So they're in a very interesting position. They're in a better position than the Red Sox, though, who have guys that are like coming up on the end of their contracts. Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, JD Martinez is only getting a year older. Frankie Cordero, like they're in a position where I could see them selling off because they're in no man's land. Like that pitching staff sucks. Yeah, they call up that kid Bayo. As a starting pitcher, he's one of their top prospects. I mean, he's getting shelled, dude. Like,
he's getting lit up,
and he's only a rookie, dude.
He's young. He's super young.
He is young. He can get better, but I mean, like sometimes that's why it's tricky calling up young pitchers because sometimes they get shelled so bad that like it's a confidence. You know what I mean? Like I've seen it as an A's fan. Like I've seen really good starting pitchers come up in our system, and they get shelled early on, and they're never the same. You know what I mean? So interesting thing. I do think the White Sox, though, Ben, they have to go get a starter, bro.
Yes,
they have to. They have to because outside of Dylan Cease, their next best pitcher is Johnny Cueto, and I don't know how much faith you're putting in Cueto right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. No, definitely agreed with you on that one. I the way that Cease pitched, they almost have to do him a service and pull somebody in to take some of that load off him because
only pitch once every fifth day.
Yeah, and if they get into a playoff series, you're going to be calling him up. He's going to be like Bumgarner, was for the Giants years ago, where he's pitching relief innings as well as starting because they need him late in those games. And that's going to be a huge disservice to Cease. So I'm with you there. They have to do something. They have gotten a lot better as they've been, getting healthier and healthier. So they could definitely push make a push for, a playoff spot there. They could push for the division. I can see them passing up the Mariners. I can see them passing up the Rays, and the Guardians, who are just ahead of them, to get at least in to a wild card position, even if they don't win that division, which again, they truly can.
CJ said the Orioles have a tricky situation because if they trade for pitching, none of them are going to stay because of the stigma. I disagree with that because Baltimore is a very good baseball town, but they're not dumb. So like when their team stinks, they don't go to the games. Like they still support the team. You know what I mean? But like they're not gonna like go support ownership. And when the Orioles are good, I mean you saw this weekend they sold out every single game.
Yeah, and I think the Orioles are again an up and coming team. They're going to be, players know that this is a team that has a bunch of young guys that has just gone through their rebuild system and are at the end of that hump. So you can now start bringing in, more of a star type player, to supplement that team because you're on that upward swing instead of just losing every game, having the lowest payroll in baseball year in and year out. So
yeah, I agree. The another interesting team too, Ben, is the Los Angeles Angels. So Ken Rosenthal reported today that the Angels have taken phone calls on Ohtani, but they quote unquote want established major leaguers in exchange for an Ohtani trade to preserve their playoff ambitions, end quote.
That's a joke. That's definitely a joke too, because what playoff ambitions do they have right now? I mean, I know that they're all talk. I know that they want to, be one of those teams who go into the playoffs, but they're just so far away. They have such a, real, such a ways to go because you've seen how they've been with Trout and Ohtani, and they're still not at that level yet. They need pitching, they need infielding, they need bats that show up. And right now, they haven't had anything show up. So they need a whole organization change. And yes, you can get a lot for Ohtani, but you have to know that the team that gets Ohtani is going to have to pay Ohtani. Yeah. And that drops his trade value down even more because he could just be a rental.
Well, he's signed for another year. So, I mean, at least if you're a team, you get him for another year. I don't think Ohtani's going to get traded. I said it last week on the show. I was like, if I'm the Angels, I'm entertaining trading him because there's no guarantee that you can re-sign him.
Yeah.
And you're not winning with him. So what is the point of having him there? Yes, he puts people in the seats now, but you can maximize his potential now. You know what I mean? So
he'll get a much bigger of a haul this trade deadline than next trade deadline.
Absolutely. I don't think he ultimately gets traded because I think the Angels are going to ask for way too much. Yeah. But I do think that the Angels are smart for doing that. Another interesting team too, been the Toronto Blue Jays. They come out of the All-Star break, absolutely smack the Red Sox.
Yep.
But they still need high leverage relievers. They could also use a middle of the order type of bat, like a Juan Soto. So they're in a very interesting position, especially because you also have to remember the laws of Canada, and they cannot have an unvaccinated player. And there's a lot of guys that are on the trade market available that are unvaccinated, which makes it, they have to be very cautious with who they trade for.
Yeah, I wonder if that's part of the reason why you see some of these AL teams, putting these guys on the, on the trade block, because they know that if they do get into a series with Toronto, they're going to have to, basically push over this person because they can't play, as well as the whole sense of, you look at what's happening, I know switching sports here, but what happened with Kyrie, he didn't play half of the season. It just shows that you don't necessarily have dedication to that team if you're letting a vaccination, for whatever reason it may be, that you're not getting that vaccination status, but that is putting a hindrance on teams that play, the Blue Jays 17 times,
Well, that's the crazy thing is because last week when the Royals went to Toronto, like Anthony Benintendi's been a hot name on the trade market, right? And then it comes out when he gets put on the restricted list because he wasn't vaccinated that, AL East teams such as the Yankees weren't really interested in trading for him any longer because they don't know if they will need him. Well, then a report comes out last night that the Yankees are again interested in Benintendi, which makes you think maybe they don't think that they'll see the Blue Jays in the playoffs,
Yeah.
But the Yankees also have to make a move because there's no way they can go into the playoffs with their rotation as is. I mean, Garrett Cole and then whoever you want as your second best pitcher, whether it's Jordan Montgomery, Nestor Cortez, James Tyon, like you don't have the two best pitchers in a series against anybody you're going to see in the playoffs. Like, give me Gausman and Manoah. Give me Logan Gilbert and Robbie Ray. Give me Cueto and Dylan Cease. Give me, I mean, any combination of two pitchers are going to see.
You put Cueto up there, huh?
Well, because you have Dylan Cease. You know what I mean? I'm talking 1-2 because outside of Garrett Cole, like I don't know what I'm getting out of that Yankee rotation come September. They're all approaching uncharted territory in innings pitched. Yeah. And we've already seen a regression in most of them. Nestor Cortez did go out, pitch 6 innings of no hit, no run ball today against the Orioles, but the Orioles stink against left-handed pitching. So that is something to keep an eye on too. If you're the Orioles, they got to fucking fix that. But the Yankees have to get a Luis Castillo, a Frankie Montas. They got to get somebody that is can be that guy, that second best pitcher in a rotation come playoff time.
Yep. Syndergaard. I mean, they could even go on
Syndergaard puts them in the same position. Syndergaard's not the same no more.
Yeah. You could, Quintana, you could put in, like Castillo, I guess, like you said there. Yeah. There's a couple of pitchers that are on the block. But do they go after Pablo Lopez?
I mean, that could be very interesting. I don't know if the Yankees are willing to part with the prospects because they've already told them. There's already reports out saying they told the Nationals that they're not going to part with their top 3 prospects to get Juan Soto. Yeah. So that I think is going to hinder their chances of getting any of these guys because the Dodgers need a starter too. Yeah. We haven't even gotten to the NL yet. So let's hop over to the NL before we kind of break down some of these the big rumors that players going. So Braves are in firm control of the first wild card. They're probably going to pass the Mets as the NL East leader eventually. Padres plus they're 3.5 games up. And then we got the Cardinals and then Phillies, Giants, and then Marlins are basically 5 back. I think the Marlins are kind of out of it. They cannot hit at all. Like it's really fucking bad to be honest. So how do you see this like wild card shaking out? Who needs to make a move the most, and what is that piece going to be?
I mean, to be honest, the Padres are the team that needs to make the biggest move. If they want to really compete in the Pacific, they're going to have to bring someone in long term that's really going to, put them at the level of the Dodgers, which is where they want to be. To make this.
Tatis is supposedly coming back in 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, Tatis is probably going to be going into the outfield though, and having difficulty swinging a bat and barely swinging a bat. How effective is he going to be for this last month and a half of baseball? So, I mean, it definitely can, be a big uplift for them. I think they do need a starting pitcher as well. I think the Dodgers need a starting pitcher. The Giants need a starting pitcher. The Phillies, I don't necessarily know. I think the Phillies probably need more so of a bat than a pitcher to really push them over. And then, as you were telling me, before the podcast, St. Louis Cardinals, one of the front runners for Soto, which would really put them over the edge there. They have the money to do it, though, is my question.
They do. They are the Yankees of the Midwest. The biggest thing, so this is the thing with the Juan Soto trade, in my opinion, is it all teeters on Patrick Corbin. If the Nationals are dead serious about dumping Corbin, his contract because it's backloaded, and then they have new ownership coming in that they kind of want like a clean slate. If they're dead serious about Corbin, that basically cuts the suitors down to like 2 teams, the Dodgers and the Yankees. Maybe the Mariners could take it on because they have a lot of money coming off the books. Maybe even the Giants could because the Giants have a ton of money coming off the books.
Yeah, Giants could as well.
So really,
did you hear what the Dodgers? What is it? Steve Mason said the Dodgers trade would have to be
what?
Gavin Lux, Dustin May, plus their number 1 prospect Diego Cartaya, number 2 prospect Bobby Miller, and number 5 prospect Miguel Vargas.
See, but if I'm taking back Patrick Corbin, I'm not going to give you that much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? True. So that's why it's beneficial for the Dodgers or the Yankees to take on that contract because you don't have to give up so much of your farm system. Mm-hmm. Similar to what they did with Mookie Betts, right? They took back David Price's contract and gave the Red Sox less than what they would have given up if they just took Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing happens here. And I think that's why you're hearing the Cardinals is because they have the deepest farm system of like MLB ready players now. You know, so if they're going, but they're not going to take back Patrick Corbin's contract. I guarantee you that. So they could probably get the best package for Juan Soto from St. Louis.
Yeah.
But if they want to get rid of Corbin's contract, that's what's really going to change things. So that's what we need to find out. You know, is do they really want to get rid of Patrick Corbin, and how bad do they want to get rid of Patrick Corbin?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
So that'll be the telling sign. I think the Giants, man, they got to go out and get some kind of offensive help, though.
They have to get offensive help, and they have to get a starting pitcher.
But I mean, they have two good starters in Logan Webb and Robbie Ray, and it's not like they get like bad.
Rodon, but
what?
Rodon.
I mean Rodon, sorry.
Yeah.
And it's not like they get bad starting pitching aside from that. Like they get decent starts.
Yeah.
Their bullpen sucks. They need
the bullpen. That's where they really need to bolster.
Yeah, they need to get some high leverage relievers.
Yeah.
And they need some offensive help.
Yeah.
Because all their guys are like platoon players, which works, but it doesn't work. Like I'd rather get a consistent guy that's out there every day.
Yeah.
You know, and some of those guys that they have playing right now, like Gonzalez and a couple other dudes, they got dudes that shouldn't be playing baseball, professional baseball, dude.
Agreed.
So it'll be interesting what they do. But I mean, like they're right there in the thick of it. You know what I mean? Like they're only 2 games out.
Yep.
And the Phillies look like they're struggling. Phillies need a bat too. I mean, they got Wheeler and they got Aaron Nola, you know, starting pitchers. They could use another starter, but
yeah. And it'll be interesting to see when Harper comes back, because he's slated to come back before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Does that really happen?
What does he look like? Broken wrist, hasn't been able to swing a bat. I mean, that's why look how long Tatis has been out with a broken wrist, dude.
Yep.
It's been a long ass time.
It has been a very long time. So that's going to be a big question mark here, you know, for the Phillies of can they punch it with the offense that they have?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then the Braves are another interesting one too, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Because like what if they go out and get Luis Castillo or Frankie Montas? You know what I mean? To add to Max Fried and Spencer Strider and Kyle Wright. I mean, dude, that might be the best rotation in baseball.
It could very well be, yeah.
So, like, they're in a good spot because they're already fine offensively. Like, they don't need anything. You know, they just need to get healthy. They need to get Ozzy Albies back. Yeah. And then they just put, who do they just put on the IL? They just put Duvall on the IL. So, but... You know, they need to get him back healthy, but they don't really need a bat. They could go get like a platoon guy, maybe go out and get like a Whit Merrifield for cheap, or I don't know, Patrick Wisdom from the Cubs. Mm-hmm. That won't take a lot of prospects, but man, if they land Luis Castillo or Frankie Montas, and if you're the Braves, you have to consider it because that that gives you such a nasty rotation. They already have one of the best bullpens, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
That Luis Castillo and Frankie Montas, Ben, in my opinion, are the needle movers, because if Houston gets one of them, if the Yankees get one of them, if the Dodgers get one of them, if the Braves get one of them, like it changes everything.
It's game over, yeah.
It changes absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see, and if I'm the Dodgers or I'm the Yankees, like I'm not even going and trying to get Juan Soto, because Juan Soto's like a luxury to them right now. You know what I mean? Like they don't need Juan Soto. They need starting pitching. Both those teams do. Dodgers need bullpen help too because their bullpen is kind of banged up.
Yeah, it really is.
And who knows if they'll be healthy? You know what I mean? So I think that for those teams, they should prioritize starting pitching before anything else.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting what they do. Let's talk about some of these guys and where you think they go. So Frankie Montas from the A's. Just coming back from injury too.
Yeah, that's going to be the tough part is kind of how he's going to really really pushed that team. We're gonna go with let's go Chicago White Sox.
Ooh.
It could be. I mean, there could be a couple teams that he could go to, but I think the White Sox are gonna put a play in with him. He's a lefty, right?
Righty.
Righty. Okay.
Yeah.
But I would have liked him better if he was the lefty. But but still, he can definitely push a little extra help for Chicago. That could really get them over the hump there.
Yeah, they could definitely use a starter too. That's a good one. I didn't think about the White Sox. I think Frankie Montas ends up in a Dodgers uniform.
Okay.
I like him going to the Dodgers. What about Andrew Benintendi of the Royals? Hitting 318 on the year, only 3 home runs, not a lot of power, but he does hit for average, and he is great defensively. He's a great defensive corner outfielder.
I'm going to put him in Houston. I think he could, he can take over for Jordan if Jordan has, those nagging injuries that go into, the playoffs there. And if Jordan doesn't, then that puts a great outfield punch with Benintendi and Houston and Alvarez out in that outfield. So kind of as a crutch, as well as something that really could put them over the edge offensively, which they don't necessarily need, but could really push them over the line to beat those Yankees.
If I'm the Astros, I'm not getting a left-handed bat because I already have enough of them. Kyle Tucker, Jordan Alvarez in the outfielder, and then Michael Brantley when he comes back too. If I'm the Astros, if I'm getting the outfielder, I'd either go for Whit Merrifield, who would be cheaper, or like Ian Happ from the Cubs, who's another right-handed hitter. I think it just makes sense as far as that. Benintendi, like, don't get me wrong, I just don't think the Astros are gonna like give up the prospects to get him when they can get someone cheaper who probably benefits our lineup a little more. I think Andrew Benintendi ends up on the Yankees, dude. I mean, they've been tied to him all year until the
All-Star game
vaccine thing.
Yeah.
And then now the rumors are back there. So I think Andrew Benintendi ends up on the Yankees.
Okay.
Outfielder Whit Merrifield, Benintendi, and he also plays infield. His partner Whit Merrifield is having a down year, but his career numbers are much better. So maybe. Yeah. And also the interesting thing with Whit Merrifield too, he said after the Royals series or during the Royals series, he said, I would have gotten vaccinated if I was on a contending team where like I had to.
Yeah.
Which makes it interesting because maybe he's really not giving it his all there. You know what I mean? Apparently he's not in some regards. So where do you think Whit Merrifield may end up?
That's a tough one. He could be somebody that I see going maybe over to I'll give 2 teams here. I'll give the Giants here and the Seattle Mariners. I think both can use another infielder, and then having that option of putting the outfield. I think if he's in Seattle, I think he'd be really more so fixed at an infield position than he would be in San Francisco.
They could use a second baseman for sure.
Yeah, San Francisco, I think, could really. They have a lot of guys who are just that middle of the road type players in San Francisco that I think with what Merrifield has showed over his career, could be someone who would really use a good change of scenery and push the defensive and offensive powers of the Giants here.
Yeah, I think I too was thinking that the Mariners, dude. Like that was the first team I thought about with Whit Merrifield because they're not gonna have to give up a lot to get him because he is having a down year. Yep. And like he could play outfield, he could platoon, and Adam Frazier like isn't good against left-handed hitting this year, and like he could platoon with Adam Frazier out there. Mm-hmm. They can also spell like Kyle Lewis, who's coming back from injury. Like it allows you to like plug and play a lot of different guys. So I mean, I agree with you, Ben, 100%. That was a team I was thinking about was Seattle as well. Here's a big one. Gregory Soto, the closer for the Tigers. He has 18 saves, 2.59 ERA, 4.51 xFIP. A lot of teams can use high leverage relievers right now, so his services could be sought after. If he goes anywhere, who do you see him going to?
That's a very good question because I don't necessarily pay too much attention to relief pitching and closers. Probably go San Diego. It could probably go with Tampa Bay, San Francisco, St. Louis. There's so many teams that could use a closer of his kind of quality. 2.59 ERA, 4.51 xFIP, 18 saves so far this year on a Tigers team, which is not.
Yeah, he was their all-star.
Yeah. So,
I think he ends up on the Yankees because the Yankees just lost Michael King for the year with a fractured elbow on Saturday or Friday.
I realize that. Yeah.
They also lost Chad Green earlier in the year, and then Aroldis Chapman is like not the same dude that he once was. Like he's he's trash. Yeah, basically. So I think they're gonna get either him or Greg Bernard. They're gonna get one of these high leverage relievers, maybe even David Robertson. But I think that Soto is a good play for them, dude. I think that would be a good get, one that they should go after. And I also only think they get someone like of his caliber if they don't land a Luis Castillo or Frankie Montas.
Yeah.
They might end up getting like a Jose Quintana and Greg Soto. Like not a high-end starter, but they still get another arm and a high leverage reliever.
Yeah.
All right, what about Noah Syndergaard? If the Angels trade him, because apparently they think they can make the playoffs still.
That's How many? What are they?
They're like 12 and a half games back of the wild card. 11 and
10 and a half back right now.
It would take a miracle, dude.
It would. It definitely would. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, to be honest, I don't think too many teams that are in the hunt really go after him. I think, you could see
Orioles could.
Yeah, Orioles could. I mean, again, White Sox could, but he'd be their number 3, number 4.
Yeah, but that's still because the team is still gonna want him because he can eat innings down the stretch. Like he's gonna keep you in games.
Relief.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's gonna come in relief for those games. Likely in the playoff scenarios where you only have really 3 pitchers pitching.
Yeah, or he's really good down the stretch, and then you keep him in there. It's like it's definitely a low risk move because whoever trades for him isn't gonna have to give up a ton. That's why I said the Orioles, because the Orioles, their starting pitching man is like when they went through that stretch where they won 10 in a row, like their starting pitching was like way lights out, dude, and they've kind of regressed back to the mean.
Yeah.
And it's like some of those guys regressing, like Jordan Lyles, for example, like he's a career 4+ ERA pitcher. Like at least I know Noah Syndergaard is going to be a little bit better than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a move I could see someone like them making. I could see someone like Toronto, maybe.
Yeah.
Low risk move just to get a third or fourth starter in there. Especially with Barrios hasn't been very good, right? So he's been better. Even the Twins, maybe the Minnesota Twins.
Tampa Bay Rays could probably Minnesota's not doing too well pitching wise. Seattle could even utilize him.
I don't think they'll trade him in the division.
That's true. That's very true. I didn't think about that.
But who knows, dude? I mean, like the Angels and Mariners have both made in division trades before, so they could. That's one of those pitchers, Ben. I think that like he's cheaper, so I do think that a lot of teams could use him because they don't have to give up a ton for him.
Yeah.
Pablo Lopez been tied to the Orioles. I don't think the Marlins necessarily move him, but if he does go to them on the move, where do you think he goes?
really the same thing. It's going to be those teams who really need pitching help and really need to.
But he's like a high end starter though.
Oh, absolutely. So I could see him going to, the Brewers, the White Sox, the Rays, Toronto. Putting him into be that number two. On either Toronto or Chicago. I could see him going to Seattle, Minnesota, St. Louis, really just places where they have the money to put him as a number two starter, because that's where he really should be, if not a number one. But again, a lot of these playoff teams have that number one who is solidly in that number one position. So
yep.
I definitely think the White Sox would be one of the best places for him to go.
We should just pinpoint all starting pitching to the White Sox.
Really, one of them's definitely going to hit. So
yeah, no, they got to get a starting pitcher. All right, quickly, I'll just run through the next ones. Ian Happ of the Cubs, David Robertson of the Cubs, Patrick Wisdom of the Cubs could all be on the move. Jose Quintana, starting pitcher of the Pirates, and David Bednar from the Pirates too. Yeah. I've also seen a little bit of rumblings on Madison Bumgarner, but he does have 3 years left on his deal, Ben.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a little bit more difficult to move. Yeah. But of any of these guys, where do you think they go quickly?
I was drinking the last part of my beer.
Yep.
I didn't get the list of the ones that you just said.
Well, Ian Happ, I think I like him to go to the Astros. I don't think he goes there. David Robertson, he's a high leverage reliever. He could go to the Dodgers. He could go to the
Giants. The Mariners. He could go. I mean, a lot of these places need relief pitching.
Jose Quintana, I see him going to a team like the Yankees. I think the Yankees are not going to want to give up what it takes to get a Luis Castillo or Frankie Montas, in my opinion. So I could see Jose Quintana landing with a guy like him landing with the Yankees. And then David Bednar too. Like, I think the Yankees are going to be in on Bednar or Soto. One of those guys is going to end up in pinstripes.
I can see that. Definitely see that. Pretty similar numbers too.
Yep.
On shitty teams.
Yep. Very shitty teams.
Yep.
All right, should we take a...
Yeah, let's take a quick break. Do beer number 2 when we come back.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right back. Stay locked with us. Hang out for a second. We'll be right back. We back. Sorry for the break. Before we get into our second beer, I do have to mention that on Wednesday we have our fourth installment of our college football preview. We will be doing the Big 12 this week. Irvin and I will be back. We'll be breaking down the Big 12 win totals, over-unders, really going in depth. Our ACC show was great until Irvin's power went out.
Oh, no.
And I had to carry the show for the last 15, 20 minutes solo. So that was really fun. But this week we'll be back. And like I said, dude, it was very informative last week. We put a lot of prep into it. So we'll have the Big 12 this week. Looking forward to it. But with that being said, Ben, we got some second beers.
Let's go, y'all.
Yeah, it is time for beer number 2 of the podcast. I'm really excited about my beer for this because I do have a collaboration. But Jordan mentioned earlier that he does kind of have a theme going on with his 2 beers. So we're gonna hear what
it was just that they're light. That was 2. My theme.
Oh, okay. Well,
my second beer is the Skygazer Brewing Company. This is from North Haven, Connecticut. A lot of good breweries out of North Haven, Connecticut, by the way. This is the Sour Crusher. It's lightly fruited sour ale with blueberry.
Okay.
And it says on the thing, drink from the can, so I'm not gonna pour this one.
Okay.
It says drink from the can.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I have not seen that.
I've never seen that either.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't think I've ever seen that. So make sure you opened it yet?
I haven't. You see it right there? Drink.
Okay, yeah.
From the can.
Make sure you give it a little bit of a roll so it shakes up all that sediment.
This isn't this is like a lightly fruited sour ale. It's not a.
Yeah, I would still give it a little bit of a rotation there just to make sure that it if there is anything at the bottom,
this.
give it a little swirl. So, all right. So my beer I'm going for is a collaboration between 2 West Coast beers or breweries that we've had a lot on the podcast here. So I'm really stoked about this. The first is going to be AleSmith out of San Diego, and then I'm going to be they are paired with Revision out of Reno. So this is a West Coast IPA, and both of these groups make great West Coast IPAs, so I'm really excited to see what they can do together. And this is coming in at 6.8%. It is part of their collaboration series, and really looking forward to this one. It's got Idaho 7, Chinook, and Mosaic hops. So it's a great set of hops for hopefully a great beer. It smells absolutely delicious, I do have to say. Definitely hop forward on the smell, so we'll see how it hits on the taste.
Nice, dude. I love Revision.
Yeah, and AleSmith too.
It's one of the
great collaboration here. I'm stoked about this one.
One of the best breweries too. Yeah, AleSmith is really good too.
Oh wow, that's good.
All right, let's get into our. Well, before we get into our top 5, I do it. Well, I don't want to give any free promo, but it's Shark Week right now, Ben.
That's true. I wish it was San Jose Shark Week, but they are not looking pretty right now.
No such thing as a San Jose Shark Week, dude.
Yeah, 10 goaltenders on staff. Are you kidding me?
Well, one of them's got to be good. You know what I mean? Like,
we've got to be trading either one of James Reimer. So
hopefully,
but we're not talking about hockey here.
Not yet. Let's talk about our top 5 power rankings for the week. So, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first here. Little bit of surprise on my not a surprise on the teams, but a surprise on where they're landing here. We're gonna start. Excuse me here. We are gonna start with number 5. We're gonna go with the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta has been coming up, pretty. But I mean, decently. Both my 4 and 5 teams have been playing decently. 6 and 4 over the last 10. They did just drop their game today, which has dropped them 8 games out of the number 1 seed here.
Well, Ian Anderson was pitching, so it was guaranteed they were going to lose.
That's true. So nothing too impressive for this week with Atlanta, but they're still really strong. And the run differential between Atlanta at number 5 and San Diego at number 6 is insane. Plus 76 for Atlanta, plus 32 for the number 6th ranked team in baseball, the San Diego Padres here. Same with Milwaukee. So number 5, Atlanta. Number 4, we're going to go with the New York Mets. They did just take the series this week, 6-4 in their last 10. They are going to need to make some moves here to really, prove themselves into, playoff level team at the end of the year, because we've seen them drop off so many times. And you have to prove it to me, to really make me believe that you are an actual playoff team. So number 4, the New York Mets. Number 3, we're going to go with the New York Yankees. New York Yankees, they did drop the series to Houston, which is really part of what dropped them down in my rankings here. 5-5.
We're gonna have the same
10.
top 5.
Are we?
I think so.
Yankees at number 3, huh? Yankees 5-5 over the last 10. They did win today, which was a good thing to see, but it really just has dropped off for them, and they're slowly moving down the list. Still number 1 team in baseball, only by half a game, but that is going to move us to number 2, the Houston Astros. Definitely the top team in the AL right now, and I'm really been impressed with what they've been doing with Jordan Hurt. Their offense has dropped a little bit, but their pitching has really taken over. For that, I mean, their offense isn't dropped too much. It's only a few points since before Jordan was injured there. So that leaves us number 1, the LA Dodgers, on an 8-game win streak, 9-1 in their last 10. Just absolutely mollywopped, minus 1 inning, 2 inning, inning and a half in the Giant series, and really just kind of showed how good of a team they are with some injuries that they have here. So LA Dodgers number 1.
Yep, we got the same top 5, so I'll run through mine very quickly and why I have them. I got the Atlanta Braves number 5. I do think that they're better than the Mets right now, but I'm going to put the Mets over them because the Mets did beat them 2 out of 3 games last week. And then I'm not going to give them any, I'm not going to knock them for losing today because they did have Ian Anderson pitching. He's like their 5th starter. So offense has been extremely hot though. And they got 3 games against the Phillies this week, Ben. They could knock the Phillies way out of the wild card after this series. And they could be first place in the NL East. Then I got the Mets number 4. They've been absolutely struggling the last 2 weeks, only scoring 30 runs coming into tonight, hitting 211, 294, 315, and 24th in WRC plus in that span. They did acquire Daniel Vogelbach from the Pirates, but they've really struggled versus left-handed pitching this season, and they reared its head on Saturday night versus Blake Snell, who has a 5+ ERA and looked like fucking Randy Johnson against them. So they have to make a trade to fix that. And hopefully DeGrom comes back healthy. They have Steve Cohen as an owner. I expect them to fix where they're lacking, but they definitely have some issues for sure. Number 3, I got the Yankees, 66-31. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Took 2 of 3 from the Orioles, but lost 2 games in a row to the Astros, and they're 2-5 against the Astros this year, which is why I have the Astros number 2. Huge week for them. 2-game sweep of the Yankees. And then they go into Seattle and sweep the hottest team in baseball, take 3 out of 3 against them. Absolutely huge week for the Astros. They would be my number 1 if the Dodgers were not so fucking hot. Sweep the Giants, 4 games, number 1 in ERA, 2nd in WRC plus in the last 2 weeks. Only Toronto is better offensively because they had a 28-run outing this week, which kind of like took them over the top. I mean, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball right now, and I expect them to only get better, Ben.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'm with you there.
Let's go, y'all.
So let's get some best bets, Ben. I know you got at least one best bet. What's your best bet for the week?
I got one for tomorrow, and I'm going to do a parlay in baseball because both of these teams, I think, have easy tracks to winning these games, but since the money line numbers are just so astronomical here, I think we can parlay them to make it a little bit better. And that's going to be the Houston Astros over the Oakland Athletics. Astros offense and defense have been playing out of their mind, and they got Jake Odorizzi on the hill. going up against Oakland, who has Aller up on the hill. And then I think you can also put the LA Dodgers with Gonsolin up. He has kind of struggled a little bit over his last 2 starts, but they're going up against the Nationals, who really haven't done much in this season. So we can put them up as a parlay here. You're going to get minus 300 on the money line and minus 225 for the Astros. But if you put them together, you're looking at a plus 100. I would even take the money line here, and let's see what the money line vig is going to be giving you here. So if we do those two together, you're looking at plus 200 value. If you do Dodgers minus 1.5 runs and the Houston Astros minus 1.5 runs. Did I say the Houston Astros? I think I did. So I think we could put both of those together and really take either of those 2 bets at plus 198 if you're going to be doing the run line, or you could do it as a money line and get plus I think it's plus 98 on that one. So
nice. All right, I got 2 best bets. I'm gonna go Cincinnati Reds money line. Miami has scored 0 runs in 3 of their last 5 games, and on Sunday they only scored 4 runs because it went into extra innings, or they scored 4 runs going into extra innings. But more importantly, Miami versus left-handed pitching on the road this season are 28th in WRC+, 28th in WOBA, and dead last in runs scored. Cincinnati has fared better versus lefties at home. They're 5th in WOBA, 11th in WRC+, and 8th in runs scored. Nick Lodolo has also been much better at home, where he has a 4.19 ERA compared to 10.29 on the road. I also like the under 9.5 here as well, but give me Cincinnati money line at home. And then we're going over 8.5 Dodgers and Nationals. I don't love the money line play. I'll explain why, Ben. Gonsolin is approaching uncharted territory. He's almost doubled his innings from a year ago, and we've seen him struggle here of late. In his last start before the All-Star break, he went 5 innings versus St. Louis and gave up 7 hits and 5 earned. Since June 21st, he has a 3.26 ERA and a 3.76 xFIP, and he also was a losing pitcher in the All-Star game, giving up the only 3 runs for the National League in a single inning. However, the Dodgers are extremely hot and swinging the sticks well. 155 WRC+ in the last 14 days. Espino has given up 3 or more runs in 4 of his last 6 starts and has a 4.8 ERA as a starter compared to 2.03 as a reliever on the season. I'm not going to lay minus 220 with Gonsolin right now. I do not want to do it because he could definitely get rocked. But
who's going to rock him?
Dude, the Nationals are 11th in WRC+ versus right-handed pitching right now. Laying minus 220 on a guy like that, that's a lot, dude. This is baseball. Minus 220 is saying that the Dodgers are going to win this game 8 out of 10 times. And the way Gonsolin is pitching and uncharted territory, I'm not willing to lay the vig there. But I do like the 8.5. I do think they clear the 8.5 very easily. They could clear it themselves. You know what I mean? You never know.
Yep.
But give me the 8.5 runs. Let's take it. Let's go. Let's head to the window and cash these tickets.
All right, it is time to recap our beer before we head out for the night. So, Jordan, give me a rating out of 5 for your 2 beers.
The Kolsch, I'm going to go a 4 out of 5. I'll drink it again. I'll buy it again. It was good. The Sour Crush, first few sips is cool. I don't understand why they don't want me
too much time to go through.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't want me to pour it though. I don't understand that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, so I had 2 absolutely great beers. The first was the New Bohemia Pilsner Soquel. I'm giving this one a 4.75 out of 5. It was a classic Pilsner. Had a great bite. It was clear. It was crisp. It was, great smell, great mouthfeel. It did really remind me of one of those old school Pilsners. So 4.75 out of 5. And I'm going to give this Split Aces IPA, which is the collaboration between AleSmith and Revision, a 4.75 out of 5 as well.
Damn,
I could have given this one a 5 probably if I've gotten a little further through this. It is a great beer. It's got a great hop level. It doesn't overpower it, but you still get that hoppiness. You get the smell of pine, you get the taste of citrus, and it's got great aroma, great taste, great mouthfeel. Coming in at 6.8%, it's a beer that you could go through a couple of these. It's top notch.
Hell yeah, man.
All right, so that's the podcast. Thank you everybody out there for listening. Make sure to check out the podcast every night, coming up until Wednesday night on live, dropping Thursday if you're listening to the podcast version of it. Absolutely a great lineup this week. As Jordan mentioned earlier, you got Irv and him talking about college football here. Jordan and I are going to be back on Tuesday, where we are going to be going through really much, probably just baseball again, with all the happenings that have started the week off right. And then tomorrow, Irving and Jordan will be back for some good baseball talk, some good news in sports, because everything always seems to drop on Monday night. So definitely check that out for the week. For Big Ball and Ben Larson, here with Jordan, Stacks on Stacks on Stacks, lads. We will see y'all tomorrow.
Let's go.
Cheers.